What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, we're looking at the best FPL captain for Game Week 6. So we're going to look through the main contenders, then talk about a few other players that you might want to consider if you want to go a little bit different to the crowd. So if you enjoy it, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and let's jump into it. Okay, let's start off with Liverpool playing Brentford away. Pretty decent fixture. I think pre-season, when we looked at Liverpool's fixture run, this one was definitely included in weeks where we would probably want to captain Salah. Obviously, Brentford have looked pretty good. We've got Ronaldo at Man United as well, so some people have kind of shifted over. But I still think we should go with that kind of prior thought basis that this is a pretty good fixture for Liverpool, right? And if you've watched them this season, which I'm sure most of you have, they've looked exceptional as well. The reason I've not included Jota on this list is because I do think he's going to start. I wouldn't be panicking about him if I owned him, but he does seem to always come off before the 90th minute. It's always like kind of 70, 75, and then you're not sure how much longer he's going to stay on the pitch for. And I'm sure if Firmino's in the squad as well, Klopp's going to want to get some minutes into his legs. So I haven't put Jota as a captaincy, but obviously if I had him, I would definitely keep him. So obviously Salah is the main standout here. I mean, stats-wise, Mane's, you could say, is slightly ahead, right? Because most of his expected goal involvement is coming from shots, so from expected goals rather than expected assists. But as always, you've always got that penalty thing. I feel like I'm going to say that every single week. The penalties is always going to swing it towards Salah. But if you had a squad where you had Mane and you didn't have Salah, I also think Mane is a really good option this week. So either of them versus Brentford is decent. In terms of how Brentford might do, so I had a look. It's 0.72 expected goals conceded per 90 minutes so far this season. That is second best. The only team that's better than that so far is Man City. Now, obviously, we are looking at very small sample sizes. So there's nothing to say that Brentford will carry this on because obviously they have come up for the Championship and they are probably the best team that came up from last year. But it's still difficult, right, to make that transition to the Premier League long term. And also we have to look at the fixtures they played. So they played Wolves, Brighton, Villa, Palace and Arsenal. Now, again, we can talk about small sample size, how good those teams have been this year versus last year. But most of those are not necessarily teams you'd have expected to score lots of goals. Palace, Brighton and Wolves in particular. I know Wolves have looked good this season, but generally you don't expect them to score a huge amount of goals. And Villa haven't been very good already. And then Arsenal obviously were missing key players in that first game. So I don't think Brentford have truly been tested. And obviously Liverpool is a big test. Apart from Man City, they are the ultimate test when it comes to a defence, right? Because their attack is so good. If you didn't want to go for Salah or Mane, I think this is one of those weeks where you could captain Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, there's some slight risk with that because he missed last week. He was ill. Klopp has said he's fine and he's available for this weekend. And it wasn't COVID or anything like that. So he should just come back and be fine. Like last week, it sounded like a pretty last minute decision not to play him. So I don't know how bad he was, but if he's available, he should be fine. So if you're someone that likes to take a captaincy defender or a defender captaincy, then Trent Alexander-Arnold, this is the kind of week where they could do it. I see a really good chance of getting a clean sheet. We know how good he's been and how involved in the attack he's been as well. So Trent's a decent option, but let's be honest, Salah is great, but is he as good as Ronaldo? Let's talk about him. So we've got a similar situation with Man United. They're playing a team that have actually been fairly decent in defence so far. 0.98 expected goals conceded per 90 puts them 5th out of all teams so far this season. So that's pretty good. But again, you put that into context, you look at the teams they've played: Watford, Newcastle, Brentford, Chelsea, Everton. Now, you can look at those teams, and to be fair, most of them have got a player that, from an attacking point of view, we quite happily have in our team. So Watford has got Sarr, Newcastle's got Wilson, St Maximin as well. Brentford's obviously got Tony and Mbeumo. Everton have Calvert-Lewin, and Chelsea have got Lukaku. But at the same time, I don't think Everton had Calvert-Lewin in that game. Obviously, it's just played this week. I think they were missing Richarlison as well. I think they were both out for that game. And obviously, yes, Watford and Sarr, Newcastle and Wilson are good, but on an individual basis, they're probably not going to be able to do everything themselves, right? So outside of them, if you kind of stop them, you kind of most of the time you stop the rest of the team, or a lot of it you do anyway. So I think Villa, again, haven't really been tested by a top team, and Man United are one of the best attacks in the league. They're not at the level of Liverpool or Man City, but they're still pretty damn good. Now, the obvious standout here is Ronaldo, right? His expected goal involvement is 1.28. That's all coming from shots, and you can talk about how he's been a bit fortunate to get tap-ins and stuff like that, but you want your player in those positions, right? If you give me a choice, I've got a player who's taking a lot of shots outside the box, or one that's getting tap-ins every single week. You want the guy taking the tap-ins, and his instincts to get to the ball are extremely good, right? We know how good of a goal scorer he is. So between Ronaldo and Salah, I'm currently on Ronaldo, and it's very, very close because I think they're playing two defences that have been pretty good, but we don't expect them to carry on being good against top teams like this. I would say Liverpool is the best attack, but really what's swinging it for me at the moment is the home thing. I think, it's so close, But obviously, Ronaldo's one of the key things for Ronaldo is his expected goal involvement is pretty much all made up by goals, and you want your striker to be doing that because they get so much of a bonus boost for when they score. So if he does get 2 goals, he's definitely going to get 3 bonus. Not necessarily the same for Salah, although you would expect him to get it as well. So I think there's 2 ways you can split it. You either go for the home away thing, and then you go for Ronaldo, or you go for the midfield thing, extra point for the goal, extra point for the clean sheet, and you go for Salah. I think if you think they're potentially just going to get like 1 return each, then Salah's definitely the one. If you think there's a chance to get multiple returns, then I just think there's slightly more chance for Ronaldo, but it's so slim. Like, if you wanted to go for Salah, I'd have no issues. I wouldn't try and talk you out of it. Like, in other weeks, you know, Ronaldo might have Villa at home and Salah might have, I don't know, West Ham away, and I wouldn't necessarily talk you out of it, but I would be a bit more concerned about going Salah over Ronaldo in those weeks. But this week, it is much of a muchness. So I don't think, if you've not got Ronaldo, I don't think you should be worried that you're captaining Salah, basically. If we want to talk about other Man United players, I don't think Greenwood's a captaincy option. I don't think he's a major issue this week either. I think people are like trying to sell him to players like Sarr. I don't think it's necessarily a bad transfer because Sarr is nailed 90 minutes, etc., and he's got some fairly good fixtures coming up. But this is a good fixture for Greenwood, and I'm not really buying into the fact that Ronaldo is going to completely hurt him as an option. Obviously, Ronaldo is taking a lot of shots, so everything is revolving around him. So long term, I've said all along, like, Greenwood's probably not going to be an option. But this week he's fine, but not for captaincy. Don't completely write off Fernandes if you've got him. I mean, he's probably not kind of in the top 5 captains this week, but it doesn't mean that he's awful just because we don't think he has penalties, right? 0.25 expected goals, 0.31 expected assists. That expected goal involvement's tracking the same as last year per 90 minutes, and he's still got like 23 returns without penalties last year. So don't completely write him off. He's not an awful captaincy option, but Ronaldo is obviously better. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Vardy and Sarr from a captaincy perspective in just a second. Just on Sarr, if you're thinking about bringing him in this week and you're worried about the whole, well, he won't play Norwich every week, I wrote an article for 888 Sport. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check that out. I spoke quite a bit about Sarr in that and why he's probably a good purchase this week. But let's talk about captaincy here, right? So we'll start with Antonio. I think if you're not going for Ronaldo or Salah, or basically Man United, Liverpool, then you're probably looking at going for Antonio this week, right? He's a really, if you've got Bamford to Antonio is such an easy move this week. His numbers are good. We know Lee's numbers are really bad, right? They always are from a defensive point of view. They're 1.92 expected goals per 90 conceded already this season. That number will come down a bit, but I don't think they're ever going to be a good defence. Like last year, they were really poor as well. I'm not expecting them to improve massively. So already, it was a good fixture to target week to week, right? We knew that's why a lot of people held Antonio because of this week. But not many people were talking about captaincy. Now, all of a sudden, Leeds got a few defensive issues or just a few injuries in general, and people are now looking to target them. Now, if you look at kind of a predicted lineup for Leeds from a defensive point of view only, so we're talking the back 4 plus a defensive midfielder, I had a look at Fantasy Football Scout. They're very good for predicted lineups. Not necessarily 100% accurate, of course, because you can never be 100% accurate, but it's pretty decent. Now, they've got the back 4 as Firpo left back. Now, he's first choice anyway. Then they've got Cooper centre back. Now, you can make an argument that Strauch and Llorente might be better than Cooper. I know a lot of Leeds fans would say that, but Cooper plays a lot of minutes, so it's not like he's suddenly coming into the team, never played for them before. Now, to be fair, alongside him, they've then got Cresswell, who, from what I can see on transfer markets, never played in the Premier League before. So that would be some proper inexperience there to come in. So possibly if Antonio plays off him, that is a really good option, right? Because he could cause him a lot of trouble. You know, first game in the Premier League, a lot of pressure. It's at home as well. Whether that helps or doesn't help, I don't. I mean, you think it would help, but if the crowd get on his back, that could be frustrating, right? I don't expect Leeds fans to do that. And then because of Ayling's potential injury, they've got Dallas right back. Okay, that's not a problem. Dallas has played there before. And I wouldn't say that he's worse than Ayling, so that's not an issue. And then defensive midfield, you've still got Phillips there, right? Phillips could play centre-back, but they're predicting that he plays defensive midfield. Now, if Bamford, who is going to miss out, and Rafinha possibly misses out as well, then obviously the attack is possibly not quite as good, you would say. For definite, you would say, with Rafinha out especially. And therefore, they might have to do a bit of defending. The question, a bit more defending than normal, I should say. The question is, how much does that back line, so Dallas, fine, Cooper's played there a lot, Firpo's first choice, and then Cresswell's possibly new, if he's the one that plays with Phillips in front, How much of that, with a new centre-back there, should that boost Antonio's appeal? And I don't think it necessarily, for me, boosts it as much as it does for other people. Like, it makes him a bit of a better option, but it doesn't just, like, if we've got, like, Ronaldo here and Antonio here, it doesn't, like, suddenly make Antonio here, I don't think, personally. So if you weren't thinking about him already, I don't know if this should massively change your mind. So do I think Antonio is a great option this week? Yes. Do I think he's a good captain this week? Yes. But I think Ronaldo and Salah are better, and maybe even kind of Liverpool other players like Mane, etc. as well. So I do like Antonio. I see why people are doing it, and I don't hate it. But for me, I'm still going to put Salah and Ronaldo ahead of him. Then we're talking about Vardy and Salah. So Vardy's just playing a good defence to go against, which is Burnley. 1.64 expected goals conceded. That puts them 5th worst team. They were also really bad last year. They're not this deep team that defends well and is hard to break down anymore. They concede a lot of chances. So Vardy could be a good outside captaincy if you're not going for any of the ones we've already talked about. And then Sarr is down as like a massive punt. Right? I think Antonio, people are calling it a punt. I mean, I guess it is a punt because you're going against the crowd, but he's a good player playing against a really poor defence. With Sarr, that is a massive punt. Now, again, I did write down in my article below, but basically Newcastle are just a poor defence. So he is going to get chances, I would say. Like, forget about this thing about how he's, all his big chances came against Norwich. Norwich are a really bad defence, so are Newcastle. So I think it's a massive outside punt if you're not going for Trent, Salah, Ronaldo, Fernandes, Antonio, Ronaldo, sorry, I think I already mentioned him, Jota, etc. Players like that, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Robertson. If you're not going for those players and you want to go somewhere completely against the crowd, then Sarr might be an okay option. But like I said, we're talking massive punt territory. It's a big, big risk to go for someone like that. But as a £6-ish million midfielder, I like him this week. So there you go then. Let me know in the comments below who you are captaining this week. Who's going for Antonio? Are the Leeds defence making you go for it? Let me know in the comments below. Give it a like if you enjoyed it and hit that subscribe button if you are new around here. And don't forget to check out Patreon. Links to that in the description below. Big shout out to Don B who signed up since the last video as well. I'm going to be back later this evening with another video. So it might be the 2000 manager video. It might just be a final thoughts video. I need to give Jimenez, Bamford, Rafinha, all the replacements basically, a little bit of thought. Am I going to take a hit? I'm not quite sure yet, but yesterday on the preview it was like a quick reaction, so I have had a bit of a chance to think about it some more, so I might do a video sometime this evening, and obviously deadline stream tomorrow. So thanks for watching, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.